We're live.
We're coming in
3 o'clock show.
live. We had
What
to
is
stand
this?
up for this one.
This is episode number 6.
We're already getting lost in the numbers, baby. We're not even, well, this is halfway.
Now, a lot of people know this guest from social media,
Come over here.
Whisky blogs. Jason is his name. He's known as Whisky Rover. Writes for maltreviews.com. Probably I think it's one of the fastest growing blog sites out there. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Jason, and tell everybody a little bit more about Malt Reviews.
So Malt, well, my name is Jason, obviously. Malt Review was Mark Newton, who you've probably mentioned a couple of times today, I remember earlier. Or I call him Tweed Lord because he wears a lot of tweed. He started it a few years ago, and I started my own site probably 2010, I think it was. And we just got to know each other over the years. And in 2017, we just came together with a new version of the site. And since then, we asked some friends to join and write for us. And it's just propelled from there. So I think it's depending on what you're looking at ranking-wise, I think we're probably second in the world. But I think we're the best at what we do and quite happy where we are. So generally, not everybody likes what we do, which I accept. You can't please everybody all the time. But we're very honest, very transparent. We might not be everybody's cup of tea because some people do like to butter up the industry, whereas we just tell it quite straight. So, it seems to be working. People seem to like it. I know there's a few names I recognize in the chat there. And Patreon as well has been a great thing for us. So that is us. I don't know what else you need to know.
Well, and I meant to include independent blog review post sites. So, you're independent completely. I mean, no one's paying your way. Nobody's financing you except for Patreon, fan funding.
Well, they've got Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So,
Just kidding. Maybe.
Probably till we didn't do like yourselves. We didn't do Patreon till maybe a year ago, maybe 14 months ago. Before that, it was me and Mark's putting our hand in our pocket every month to pay the hosting and stuff like that, and just buying our own whiskey. And since then, that covers the hosting. It means we can give our guys a little thank you each month. Me and Mark don't take any money at Patreon. We give it to the staff. And recently we've had a little bit left over, so we've been able to do some technical things. And we've also managed to buy an odd bottle. So I've got a ginger beer cask behind me from Starward, which will be the next one, which we purchased this month. So Patreon's just been an amazing thing because we don't have adverts on the site. We don't... Industry does send us things, but we don't go actively out and ask for anything. But they do watch us and they do talk about us. Especially, I hear Macallan have talked about us as well because we haven't been too complimentary about some of their releases recently. But give us good whiskey and we'll tell you it's good. So yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
Well, and so Bart and I are standing for this one. I made him take his shoes off so he'd be a little bit shorter.
And I'm going with a wide-legged stance.
I must be a wide lens because you are pretty tall.
Yeah. No, I should have that picture queued ready to go.
That's it. We'll find it.
Yeah. Well, matter of fact, let's just
he's got to bring it up now.
Why delay the inevitable?
So, but we've been sitting already, and we talked last year. We actually got butt fatigue, is what we like to call it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now, don't take that dirty. All that we've been sitting too long.
Nothing wrong with a good butt, that's for sure.
There we go. Here comes the share.
I got the picture. Hold on just a second.
Hold on, he's coming in.
Thing, isn't it?
Maybe. There we go. Choose that.
And
choose that.
Come
over
it's
here.
Cascading. Boom.
Over there. This is us in Edinburgh at the Scotch Malt Whisky Society.
I was on your toes there. Maybe.
That was after your show, wasn't it? Yeah, I think. Yeah, Roy.
I don't remember what point of the day that was, but yeah.
It was a long day, but a good day.
Great for you to
day.
stop by. Great to meet you. And we probably wouldn't have thought to have you on if we hadn't met you.
Oh, it was perfect.
Yeah.
I loved meeting you there.
It was good. A good bunch of people that day. It seems like so long ago, but it's probably only, 6-7 weeks?
Yeah, if that, yeah. May, it would be a little May 20th, somewhere in there, roughly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when we were looking at the 12 hours of boom, and it's like, who do we have on? Great guest, high on our list. I was glad you were able to make it.
Up. We were like, perfect.
Nice, very kind of you. I've been one of your patrons, or Malt's been one of your patrons for a wee while, actually. So I think we were coin 68. I think Roy matched it, or 87. I think it was.
Good.
But I gave my batch 1 coin to Andy on your Saturday night in Glasgow because that was the one batch he didn't have our baggie. So he's got my coin now. So I should have sold it on eBay, come to think of it. But Andy's such a generous guy, so I gave it to him. He can have it.
Perfect.
Whiskey's about sharing, right?
That's right.
That's what Roy says, and he's right, unfortunately.
That's right. You got to share it out. Share it out.
So, but then you had sent me a list of whiskeys, and I was like, well, what whiskey do we want to share? What do we want to talk about? And you sent me a list, and I was like, whoa, you got to calm down. First of all, we're in the States. Because you gave me about 15, and I was like, I've never even seen any of those.
It brings it home, actually, just the availability for some of you guys, even state to state. I believe it varies greatly as well.
Yeah. And money as well. We're self-funded and Patreon funded. 99% of what we do, and kind of like you, occasionally a bottle comes in from somebody.
Right.
We're not out there seeking stuff, asking, hey, send us this, send us that.
Right. Some distilleries send us stuff. Fans actually will send us more bottles.
Yeah.
We get way more from fans than we do from distilleries. So, and that's the way we like it. We like to be. It helps keep us a little bit more objectionable.
Oh, I don't know about objectionable.
Objective. There we go.
Maybe this shirt is objectionable. I think you were looking at the shirt when you said that.
Well, speaking of objective, we differed on the Dickel 13.
We differ on the Dickel.
And we need to let Robert try it just so maybe get his opinion and see what he thinks.
I've not had is it the Tabasco cask is a Dickel?
No, we didn't do that. We did the 13-year bottle and bond. Yeah, we talked about doing a Tabasco run at some point in time. So this is a 13-year bottle and bond, but they tell you they've gone 13 years with it. Scott likes it a lot.
Yeah.
And
also too woody, you said, didn't you?
What's that, Jason?
Too much wood in it, I think, for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what Bart thought. Yeah.
Exactly. It came off very oaky, astringent, dry, dusty, and that's just my palate though. I don't lean toward the heavy oak influenced bourbons. That's just me.
But it's all individual, isn't it? That's the end of the day.
Right.
That's why it's good to two of you giving opinions on something.
Yep. And that's one thing we always say. What's really only valuable about our opinion is if you found out, you as the fan, that my palate is close to your palate. And then if I love something, you're probably going to think, yeah, it's probably a good bet. Or if I don't, that's a good bet. Or we've had people say when we both sync up and are like, wow, then they're like, well, that's good. That's really hitting a broad base.
Yeah. Same for us. I mean, Mark's more sherry wine influences. Adam is more American. Norture's more like me, is more bourbon casks. So we notice with readers as well, they do latch on, they have their own favourites. Some people play a game, they try not to see who's written the review and they try and guess from it from the text and in the notes. So yeah, and we try and do different opinions. So that ginger beer cask will have 3 people giving an opinion on that. And hopefully their middle ground will be quite good.
Yep. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, so...
One whiskey we had settled on, though, we both had and had access to was the Macallan edition #2.
Yes.
So that's what we were diving in. Now, at the end, towards the end of this video, we're going to give away a couple of our Spartan Helmet Glencairn glasses.
Ooh, love those.
So everybody tune in, pay attention to the chat as well. One question will come up from Jason. We'll have him generate a trivia question from this live stream. And then we'll go to our Patreon supporters.
And you can join in on Patreon now, even if you want, and we'll add you to it. So if anybody is not a Patreon fan and wants to be, it's not too late to get in. We still got half of the show to go.
Good. I'm trying not to look at the comments here because I can see our baggies making some comments already. So I'm just going to ignore that.
Yeah. It's probably like, you ain't getting your coin back. It ain't coming back.
He was in my house on Thursday and he was very well behaved for a change. That's what I'm saying.
See, whiskey friends, and fellowship.
Small world it is.
Okay, so Macallan edition. So of course they start with #1. Very rare, the least produced one that they made, and I don't know that it was it even available in Scotland.
I think it was, but the problem we have here, anything Macallan just is snapped up now to be sold on. So we were speaking just before we went live. You can probably still get the edition 2, maybe 4 there. These, I mean, I went to Macallan and they had the edition 3. They had 20 bottles out on the shelf. And I thought, well, I'm going to get a cup of tea and I'll come back in about 40 minutes. And they were all wiped off the shelf.
Really?
Yeah. It's just the way now. People are just buying en masse and selling. But you probably got a flavour of that maybe when you're over here. You know, there's a real scramble for any bottles. And Macallan's probably one of the ones at the top of the tree when it comes to value.
So they are up to, they've done 1 through 4. Their work at 5 should be coming out sometime soon.
Fairly soon, yeah.
This is edition number 2 that was done in collaboration with the Roja brothers, who own a world famous restaurant in
Spain.
Yeah.
Really? Sorry.
Yeah, but they've and Jason's got the box there. He's looking at it. Ours as well. I mean, it gives you kind of the breakdown of the percentages of the cask you use, what kind of cask it was, which one of the brothers picked it.
It's flavorful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Good, like compass box. It's really good level of detail for a change.
Yep.
Except for age.
Well, yeah, they don't want to spoil it, do they? But I think this was maybe about 70, 80 pounds here, which is reasonable for what it is. I remember anyway. I've not had it for probably since for a good 14, 15 months. But I think for the quality, I remember being it was reasonable for the price. But a lot of the Macallan stuff, they won't put the age on for obvious reasons, because it's more about the whole presentation. And people are paying a lot of money for very young single casks, I bet you, as well. So it works for them. So I'm good on them.
Now, I only had a couple of ounces left in one bottle. I did have a backup bottle of it, so we used that. And then I poured Robert Licorice is here. Robert Whiskey Scout is here. Shakes Pennington showed up. He's ready to play the guitar. We're waiting for Cousin Shane.
Right.
So I brought the second bottle knowing I'd have to open it to be able to share with everybody that was here. But
well, that's good of you. Well, it's probably up your alley, isn't it? Because it's heavily sherry.
I love this one from the get-go. Now, I'll tell you what, though, and it when I first got it and opened it, it was less sherry than I was expecting. It's lighter and it's sweeter, but it is so good. I mean, because most people go into these thinking this is the Macallan and they're expecting all that sherry, impact sherry bomb type stuff. With this, though, Macallan admits it. They're trying different things here. And even the edition number 3, I really liked it. And there's only a hint of sherry in it, but it really just seems like a well-done Scotch, to me.
Yeah.
Mark is
what you can do as well, just with different cast types, and even obviously the chefs here have maybe got a different palate. They've brought that to the equation, rather than I think it was Bob put this together with them. Yeah, so he's no longer at Macallan now. If you can get it, it's lovely. But I think here I was telling you it's probably about £200 now at auction. I think this one.
Wow.
The nose, though, I got burnt caramels up front. Yeah. Burnt brown sugar, burnt caramel, raspberries.
Yeah, it's a tutti fruitiness to it, definitely. Muscovado sugar. I'm sure we reviewed this. It's funny, I just picked this one because I knew you probably would have it, but it was one of the first bottles we reviewed after we relaunched in 2017. So me and Mark had both reviewed this, and he actually said tiramisu on his notes I was reading the other day. So I definitely get a bit of that with the coffee as well.
So, little cowbell for Aqua Vitae.
Oh,
he says he's out for Eric Waite's birthday in Glasgow. Happy birthday, Eric!
Yes, he is.
Just in to say, boom, pow, boom, chakalaka. We'll definitely catch this on replay. Cheers, boys. Cheers, right. Roy.
Cheers,
£9.99.
Roy. Wow.
Cheers, Roy. There's one of your coins as well. So,
Mark, Jason had
your coin up.
Yep. Mark Saliba wants to know, is this sore ass hour? Yes, we are exercising the bums a little bit. This should help us down the road.
Yep. We're getting the circulation up. We're standing. We reposition the camera.
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
That is right.
That's right.
Scott did tell me I had to take my shoes off in order to make it into the frame.
Well, no, just to make me look taller.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I also back up from the camera, and you get closer.
And you're like, yeah, you could be standing over there a little bit
But
further.
if I stood up here, then I'm not even.
No, move back over there.
See, I'd stand
Now
where he
move
tells
back.
me.
Right there.
Hold on. Now,
See,
you want me
now
to,
we're kind of proportional.
You want me to stand here?
I'm in this third of the frame. You're in that third of the frame. Now you're right in the middle.
I'm going to stand wherever I choose.
We're going to get into steps to Mark.
Wherever I choose to stand, I shall stand here.
I just remember I had a sore neck talking to you and Ben that day. So,
Brother Ben.
And Scott's tall enough as it is, to be honest. You know, so there you go.
I'm 5'10", average, but yeah. Even next, we were in the airport. Well, there was Bart and Roy and
we were in several airports. Daniel
Vermaas.
Yep.
Showed up, and Daniel is
I'm
6'6".
Yeah, like
6'4". You're 6'6". He was 6'4". Roy's 6'2", and then there was me, and it was just this tall. Even I looked short next to all three of those guys.
The best things come in small packages, though. That's the thing.
There you go. That is it. No, I definitely get the tutti frutti on the nose here.
Yeah, there. I think now edition 4 was heavier sherry influence, more similar to the edition 1. But
yeah.
2 and 3 were definitely lighter. They were different for a Macallan than what people are used to. But I still found them both extremely good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we couldn't get 4 here because it was literally just flying off the shelves. Some retailers were being a little bit unscrupulous and they were selling it for about £150. So it's like, nah, but it was still selling. But I think one of our readers actually gave Mark a good sample of the edition 4 to review. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have done the edition 4 because you weren't quick enough to get it. That's just the way it is. It's a shame because I think Macallan brought the series out to introduce people to sherry and the intricacies and what you can do differently, and is almost like a gateway to Macallan and its whiskies. But you just can't get it because now people see it as a series and people collect series. And that's the end of it. I mean, I would buy one at the original retail price, but I certainly wouldn't buy one at what it's going for now.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. We agree.
And Ard Baggy was just asking, why are you standing? We're making Jason nervous. No.
We're coming to get you.
I'm surprised. I wonder if Andy's on his phone, actually, because he left his charger here. So I wonder what he's doing. Probably his laptop. But yeah, I mean, you met Andy that night. He's a fantastic guy. I've seen he gave you a generous donation earlier today as well. He's, I've known Andy a few years now with the Tormore guys, and we go up to Speyside and we stay at Tormore, and we both love that distillery. And he's such a down-to-earth, generous, lovely guy. He does have some little quirks, which I won't go to on a live stream about, but
good.
I have none.
I'm sure.
Anything little that Andy has, we don't need to talk about.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about what
But he's one of the best people you will meet in the whiskey community by far, and there's certainly a lot of them out there. Roy's another one, as you know, fantastic guy.
Aaron McFault has a good question for you, Jason. He says, how about your process for reviews? How do you go about writing your reviews? How many drams before you come to a conclusion? How much time do you spend, on the review?
That's a good question.
Yeah. It depends, because I mean, recently I became a father, so I used to have a process, and it's really just literally gone out the window now.
You sample all whiskey from a baby bottle.
Exactly. So now I find myself, I write, sometimes you'll have the whiskey first and that'll lead you into a review. Other times you'll actually have something in your head. When the guys write reviews, and certainly me as well, we normally have one article on the site which is about history. So that's done. So then what you want to do is maybe talk about what interests you about this whiskey. So that one behind would be a ginger beer cask. Talk about that. Why you bought it. Why you're reviewing it. Sometimes it could be news. There might be an item in the news about whiskey. Or it could just be generally you're having Macallan, this one would be ideal about auctions and flippers and prices. people queuing overnight at the distillery to get a bottle, and the whole, or even the Macallan advert with the guy jumping off the cliff. You've got lots of options with Macallan. So at the moment, I tend to write them in my head first, and then I'll sit down with the whiskey. In terms of the whiskey, it depends on the sample. Some of the really old, rare stuff, I have a different glass. I have a 1920s blender's glass. So you really go back. I try and go back a couple of times. So if I'm reviewing, what am I reviewing at the moment? I had a black truffle rye whiskey, so I've gone back to that the last 2 nights just to make sure, and I write my notes down. And if I'm happy, then we move on. So it depends on the whiskey. Some of them you sit and you're thinking, I'm waiting for you to do something, and you're not. So you try water one night, maybe it's you're having an off night, your palate, so you come back to it another night. There's no hard and fast rules, and I'm sure that's the same for all the guys on the website. Some people review the whiskies early in the morning because they think their palate's good in the morning. I tend to be more a late night person. It's all individual.
Yeah, my palate's definitely more lively and alert right around like 10 a.m. is when I samples.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I could get up at 5 in the morning and have a few drams and go into work. I don't think that is a good idea.
Right.
Palate strongest in the morning.
Yeah.
So take us back to the beginning, Jason. I know you look like you're 25.
Yeah, no, 19. He's drinking illegally.
How did you get into, get us to this point. How did you get into whiskey? Everybody's kind of got that moment or the eye-opener experience with whiskey.
Okay. Well, my dad's Irish, so there was always a lot of Bushmills floating around in the family. And we used to go to Ireland a lot, and you would go around Bushmills because there wasn't much else there. So I was getting the smell. I wasn't able to drink it then, but you were getting a sense of the smells and the interest. What is this? And then when we started living in Scotland, whiskey's everywhere here, as you know. You just built that interest. In terms of whiskies that blew me away, Bushmills probably would have been one back then. I, like everybody else, I probably, raided the back of my dad's liquor cabinet and had a blend, and that put me off for life. And I didn't come back to it till maybe later on when I felt able to actually appreciate what the whiskey was. So my granddad, I remember in England, he used to drink blends, and the name escapes me just now, Highland Cream. He used to drink that. So that's my most valuable bottle. It's just been around it, and just slowly your palate's developing. I think, when I was a teenager, I wasn't ready for it. And now I'm only 25, as you say. I'm ready for it, So, and the thing that makes me excited is whether you go back in time, which is what I like to do, in the old stuff. I like to explore the new distilleries, what they're trying. America, you're a lot more freedom in America and Ireland, as you know, compared to Scotland. So, as I say to everyone, just try things, and if you don't like it, there will be another whiskey out there for you.
Yep. Now, a question for you. What do you think 10 years in the future in the whiskey world, not just Scotland or Ireland or the US, or Japan or anything, where do you think we'll be? Do you think it's going to change a lot, a little, not at all?
We interview a lot of independent bottlers on the site this year, and we've actually asked them similar questions to that, what the burning issue is or what they see. And I was speaking with a guy in marketing in whiskey, and he was saying provenance is the thing, where everything's coming from, the distilleries that can, traceability, like Waterford, this guy here, it's probably as well, Daphne. It's all about where it comes from for me. I think that's the big thing. People appreciate, Macallan has the brand, they have the name, but it is, you've been there, it's a massive factory. I think people are wanting that more hands-on nature, the flavor, the passion, I guess, in the liquid, and not just a button press. So Daphne is one of my favorites, but there are other new Scottish distilleries as well that are, technically they shouldn't really be in operation because they're so inefficient. It's handcrafted, guys running around. I think those guys have a future, much like craft beer over here now that's exploded. People are drifting away maybe from your main pints, and they're wanting beers that maybe have a little bit more flavor, a little bit more class. So I think there's going to be a place for everybody, but I think certainly in 10 years' time, whiskey people are going to be far more educated, and they're going to want to explore more and not just take what they can get off the shelf at their local.
Yep.
What do you think?
No, we agree. I think we've seen that. I mean, I think, the idea that Dad drank Jameson, so that's all I'll ever drink is Jameson.
Yeah.
I don't see that anymore. I see people reference their grandfather or their father, but they're open for like it's experiences. I mean, it's stuff that's even, Ardbeg is going to put out grooves and all the experiences that are going to go on just even within a single distillery.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely agree with you that that's where I think the trend is going. It's experiential. And there's so much depth once that's begun. I'm curious to see how far it goes.
Exactly. And they've just changed the rules in Scotland around some of the casks. So we can now use tequila casks. So that's another little twist for people to experiment with. So we'll see where we go. But at the end of the day, Scottish whiskey needs to taste like Scottish whiskey, I think. You can't go too mad. Like the Irish do, and they'll stick it in anything that's wooden, and they can call it whiskey.
They'll stick it in what? I'm not sure what show we were on for a second there. Sound like age mashing drum was going on.
Well, I had a good question that was brought up a while back to me to talk to you about our topic, and that is scoring. Everybody has their own scoring systems. For those that watch us, me anyway, this bottle before it's cracked open starts at an 85, and it either goes up or down from there. Or where you start at.
I don't have a starter. It's more like, where do I feel on this thing now? I will say anything that's 90 and up is stuff that I'm just like, wow. So it's more of that wow feeling when I get into the 90s.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I come from. And I'll be honest with you, other than a few rare occasions, the quality of most whiskeys that come out is really good. I mean, I've got to try something over here that I've only nosed that there was some interesting maybe issues with. But in general, when you get a bottle that's in, I think even if you're saying it's a standard, it's a good, solid standard. It's not like when they used to adulterate whiskey that before it was bottled and you didn't know what they put into the cask.
I know. Well, we never used to score whiskies, Mark and myself individually. It was only when we came together in 2017 that we actually thought, well, a lot of people want a score because they need the score. We don't do the 0 to 100 score. I call it like the 80 to 92 score, which people use, because I think it's very anti-consumer. I think you need to know the scoring system on that. If you were to pull people off the street and say, this whiskey's 80 out of 100, what do you think that means? And probably most of them would think it's excellent, but the 80 mark actually is probably more equivalent to maybe 60%, I guess. So it can be a little bit misleading. And I know a lot of writers in the industry, and I've spoken to them occasionally about the scoring system, and they agree it's flawed, but they don't rock the boat. So we agreed we'd do 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, and we use that. So 5's average, and that's the way it is. But to answer your question about bottles, I mean, this is it's a Cadenhead's 12-year-old blend. I opened this and I didn't like it whatsoever. It took me probably to round about here before I started to enjoy it. And I've continued to enjoy it. But if I was to, I've never reviewed it because I just felt it did have some potential. But yeah, certainly based on the neck pours, Roy calls them, or maybe, a bit further down, it hadn't opened up. It just wasn't really singing to me. It took a lot of patience, that one. So sometimes there's whiskies you think aren't working, so you go back, you add water, you try a different glass. Glasses are a big thing. Maybe it's the environment. You give it time, but over the years, you build up this experience, and you sort of know roughly, you taste something, and you'll probably think you're normally within the ballpark of where you're going to end up. You'd love to have a surprising whiskey like Hunter Lang brought out the Scarabus, which I've got here. And you just think, oh, this is just going to be an average sort of whiskey. It's an Islay whiskey, so you have to watch it for this. It's a bit compass box in the old presentation. This is coming to America apparently as well. They sent us this, I should say. But if they don't send me a sample, I would have bought it. So it's no age statement, 46%, nice blingy label. It's about £32 here. It's sold out a lot already. So I didn't have high expectations. I tried it and wow, it's really, really good. And the same with Mark. He thinks it's a Kalila. I thought that at first. I think it's a Lagavulin. And it's really good value. And that is a whiskey from the off. I give that 7, and some people might think 7's average. 7's above average for us. We just have a different way of scoring things. Like some people have an alphabet system, pluses and minuses and letters. Other people like yourselves have the hundreds. I think as long as you're communicating if you're enjoying it or not, that's the main thing. A 7 for you is probably a 90 for us. Yeah. I mean, it's probably some of the guys in the comments here will vouch, I am the hardest person to impress when it comes to a whiskey, We're reviewing, I'm reviewing a Malt Society bottling on Monday, and that's the best Malt Society bottling I've had in 2 years, and that gets an 8, which is unheard of for me. 8 and 9s. I gave a 9 once, and one of the Norcher would probably tell you I spent the whole weekend debating whether to give a 9 to it.
So you've never given out 10?
Yeah, I have given out 10s. The last one, I think, Andy, when he was up 2 years ago, brought a 1973 Old Pulteney. This thing was black as soot, probably even blacker than that.
Wow.
And it was 30 years old. It was bottled by Gordon MacPhail, and we polished off about 2/3 of that bottle in one night. And we had such a great time. That was a 10. And we woke up the next day and we were perfectly fine, which was a surprise. So that was a 10. But some of the guys give out 10s. We don't influence guys' opinions when it comes to scores. They can score what they like, where they have total freedom. If someone says it's a 10, I might not agree with them, but if that's their opinion, that's what matters. So,
do you yell at them or anything?
No, Mark probably yells at me or shakes his head virtually a lot.
Yelling like bullocks, they'd be like, "Dang, he's pissed."
Probably like, what's he done now? But that's the good thing. All the guys we don't agree on. I don't agree on much with Mark, to be honest with you. He likes Brookladdy. I'm not really too keen on it. There's all these differences. There are common ground like Jura we don't like, but at the same point in time, you give me a good Jura and it'll be scored good. But all our differences, we accept one another throughout the whole team. I mean, this week we had a Springbank 15 review, which we did it blind. So Philip Causeway Coast Whiskies gave it a 2 or a 3 out of 10.
Really?
And the uproar amongst the Springbank posse was all in the comments that someone's, you can't score a Springbank low, which is rubbish. Of course you can. And that was his personal opinion. So he knew when he shipped out that score, he was going to get some feedback from the wider audience. And we still did it. And a lot of people in the comments were actually really, really positive, saying, look, this proves blind tasting works, and it proves you guys are totally independent, because we just stripped away the brand and had it blind. So yeah, I don't give out 10s very often, because for me, where do you go after that? It's difficult. But normally if I'm given 7, 8 or 9, even a 6 is a good score for me. I'm very aware that people on the back of that might buy that bottle. And to me, the worst thing is somebody being disappointed with a recommendation I've made. So I'm very, very strict on giving out good scores personally.
Yeah, well, and I'll echo, our blind tasting and that we began educated just me so much, and I think you too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I always encourage folks, try it blind. Get your buddies together, pour out blind stuff and try it, because it strips away your conception of what you're trying and what it is, and it's just how does it hit you.
Exactly.
When you surprise yourself and you're like, wow, that's good. And one of the first things we learned early on was when we did that 16 bottle bourbon shootout, we had some real expensive fancy stuff in there. And, I picked out the Elijah Craig, small batch.
I picked out Maker's Mark.
Yeah. And I'd actually scored when we did the small batch in 84, I think. And here I picked it out of this best. And I thought, well, what the heck happened to me there?
Well, you guys went even further. You blackened the glasses, I remember as well, which you're total blind then. That's, I like, you can buy some blue glasses, which, were so led on color as well,
Yeah.
You take that away and you are relying on your senses. It is a great way to try whiskey and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we did the first blind shootout we did was rye, and then we did bourbon. Once we moved, then we were going to do the peated whiskeys, and that was when we realized we had to have blind glasses, or the blackened out glasses, because your Lagavulin stands out. You put it up, or outside of Lagavulin 8.
I think I poured, and you were like,
I picked them out.
Yeah, you were like Lagavulin, Ardbeg. I mean, we were just doing like a sampling one day, and you were like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to blacken them."
Yep.
Well, the Lagavulin 16, which I know a lot of people like, including my good friend Rose, it has a lot of colouring in it. You can just tell, why you putting colouring in that. So a blackened glass just takes it away.
Yep. And I just looked at the time. We're already at 3:37. We're coming up towards the end. We need to do our giveaways real quick.
Go for it. Let me think of a question while you do that. Get that set up.
We'll do our random Patreon then. This is for Spartan Helmet Glen Cairns. One for Patreon, one for the washers. So for our patrons, and we are up to, we added one. We have 174. Right? Still there?
Yep, it has not changed. I was just seeing if anybody added.
Hey Siri, generate a random number between 1 and 174.
A random number between 1 and 174 is 167.
Wow.
Leandro Chavira.
We keep going high numbers. Look at that.
Yes. Favoring the 3 digits, aren't they?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he's Leandro.
I think it's Leonardo.
Apparently, Tony says using a red Solo cup is the best way to try a whiskey.
Where's Cousin Shane?
Yeah, you say Solo cup, Cousin Shane comes in singing. Cool.
We're like, no red. Okay, no. If that's the only thing you have,
sure,
use whatever you got.
Well, I'd say drink straight from the bottle.
Well, you can always do that.
Good man. They do that in Glasgow sometimes. So anyway, don't worry. Get it down there.
Yep. I've been known to get ready to cork a bottle and, let me try one more little sip.
All right. Have you thought of a question, Jason?
Yeah, go on then. I showed this bottle earlier, but which distillery is it?
Ooh, he's got it blinded and everything.
Is that a 12-year-old? I was going to ask you.
This one, yes, is probably just verging on 12. Yeah, 12-year, first fill sherry butt. August 2004. Yeah.
I like the way you think, Bart.
There you go. Whiskey Freedom. I got
Multi said that.
Oh,
there's an autocorrect.
Correct. I think that was him. Come on, he said daft all.
We'll give it to both of them. Multi and
that's good. They came
how's
in
that?
quick.
Then there's no Multi and Whiskey Freedom. You both get it.
Yeah, look at that. We're giving them both. Yeah, because that was an autocorrect there.
Yeah.
You can just imagine him frantically bashing the keyboard to get that in on time.
Yeah, he's getting in, and then he says enter, and they're like, "What the hell? Daft Isle."
He's like, damn it, I lost it.
I had it. We're going to stick with you. You're getting it. We're giving them to both. Nobody's mad in that one.
That's right.
Good call.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
We'll just solve that one right there.
Everybody wins.
There's some Daphno coming to America, I think, this year as well. So an exclusive cask. So
really, Robert,
the opportunity to try some.
Yeah, that one looks awesome. That's my color of whiskey right there.
Yeah.
Well, if you're over again, or I'm over, I'll make sure you get some of that.
Beautiful. I don't mind them pale though. I like my peat young. Young pale peat.
Jesse says to hat. That was close.
Yeah, to hat. To hats, Jesse.
Travis Faircloth got robbed, he said.
I was robbed. There's Kevin Tats.
All right, we'll have to mark that. I guess I got 3 names
Yep,
down.
you got them listed. Did you list? What they're getting? Yeah. Glen Cairn.
Yep.
All right. Coming in. This is what I call the Rhino manga.
Got all
Look at
that.
that. It's got a little.
You guys halfway now, are you? Is this
This is hour 6.
You put us
Finishing
over
up.
the hump.
Well, we're right at the hump.
No,
Right
once
up
we're
top.
done, we're over it, right? Or is it right at the middle? I suppose you're right. It's when we're done, we're right at the pinnacle. We're at the pinnacle when we're done. As soon as we start. You don't like pinnacle? Pinnacle not good for the Whiskey Scout? He's laughing at pinnacle.
sure hump day? Yeah.
I'm thinking you're
What
confused.
what's your score?
Pinnacle?
What's your score on Macallan edition number 2? I'm going. This would be a 92, maybe a 93. I don't remember where I scored it, but it's simply delicious. I like it. 92 plus or minus 1.
Yeah. I know Mark Newton or Tweed Lord, he scored at 9 out of 10, and I never do the same as him. I would probably give it an 8.
Right, there you go.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just a shame now that they can't support it. You know, it's gone because Macallan does do good whiskey, but unfortunately, you just can't get it for love or money here. That's just the way it is.
How many bottles do they put out? Do you know?
Yeah, that's released.
No, they're very, very, they don't really announce it.
I think no, Travis Faircloth, I think, had sent us a deal that showed. 1 was, of course, the least produced. 2 and 3, I think, were both pretty similar as far as the bottles that were released. And then 4 has been the most produced one.
Yeah. I mean, I told you the story at the distillery, even the old distillery. There'd be people queuing up and just snatching them off the shelves because I think they were about 75 quid then. So that was, what's the Macallan 18? I think it's about over £300 now. So that's just gone. Yeah, in terms of an everyday drinker for me, this would have been ideal if I had more. But unlike you, I don't have another bottle to open.
Whiskey Freedom says to sign his Glen Cairn with a Sharpie.
Wow. I don't know if that'll stick. All right.
We'll get her done right there.
Get her done. It looks pale.
And I had something else I was going to bring up real quick. I forget what it was.
Look at that.
Boom.
Voila. Where'd you put the lid?
Got it.
You were going to bring something up, and now you forgot.
Yep.
We've signed it.
Oh, dear.
Came in. Well, why don't you? We're at
Malt, you left
3:43.
it. We'll sign his later.
All right, we'll sign his later. Go ahead and give us all your contact information, where people find you, where they're going to read your blog, and anything else you want to add in, brother.
So the website is, you just search for Malt Reviewer. It's malt-review.com. The links are there. And Instagram, I think we are Malt Official. If you put in Malt Review on Instagram, you'll go to Mark Newton's page. So it'll all be about champagne and leather shoes and just general boring soil chat. So Malt Official on Instagram is the way to go. Me, myself, I'm Whiskey Rover, Whiskey_Rover, but you really don't want to head there. I just ramble. So stick with Malt Official and Malt Review, and you'll be fine.
Well, good. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, Jason. Appreciate it. Great to meet you. Thanks for stopping by the vaults that day in
that was awesome.
Edinburgh.
It was a really good day, and thanks to Ben actually, who's on later. He was great to invite me, and he was such a hospitable guest that day for everybody, I think, as well.
Definitely.
Much. Yeah, very
All
much
right.
so. That was my haggis I had.
Haggis is good, yeah.
Scotch it, you Scotch gods.
Cilantro.
And
See you, brother.
see you soon.